Great pleasure to welcome you to this high-level meeting, Restoring Childhood and Humanity, Advancing Peace in Ukraine through the Return of Ukrainian Children. The President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelenskyy, and the Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney, have convened this meeting as co-chairs of the International Coalition for the Return of Ukrainian Children. This meeting is an opportunity for all of us, members of this coalition, and for other guests to exchange and explore the very specific ways that we can work to returning Ukrainian children and restoring their rights, their safety, and their dignity. I now have the honor to turn to His Excellency Volodymyr Zelenskyy, the President of Ukraine, for some opening remarks. Mr. President, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Dear friends, dear Mark, Prime Minister of Canada, Madam First Lady of Canada, Olena, all the leaders, all the representatives, Excellencies, our friends, Your Majesties, thank you for bringing the coalition for the return of children to the level of leaders' work. And this is a very good sign. And thanks Canada, thank you Mark for your strong leadership. More than 30 delegations are here with us now, taking part in the coalition. And thank you all, this is truly important. Today we are in New York, and on the global stage, the next such summit we expect to hold in Brussels under the co-leadership of Ukraine and the European Commission. Thank you, Ursula. And hope this format will bring progress in solving this very, very sensitive issue, the fate of Ukrainian children. Thousands and thousands of our children are victims of Russia's double crime. Russia first abducted them and deported them, and now it tries to steal everything they have inside, their culture, their character, their bond with family, and their identity. Maybe not everyone here is a parent, but everyone knows how quickly children grow, how precious every moment is, how fragile their first steps in life can be. And so one of the greatest things adults can do is to give a child a normal childhood. And one of the lowest crimes imaginable is to replace childhood with war and its cruelty. For years we have been fighting to bring our children home, and we need real results, which means the actual return of all the abducted Ukrainian children. It is fair and symbolic that the first crime Putin has been charged with is his crime against children. And I thank every country that enforced the ICC warrant for Putin and others guilty of abducting children. This matters, and it must not be forgiven. Thanks to our Bring Kids Back UA initiative and the support of partners, 1,625 children have already been returned to Ukraine. Each return is a success, a child saved, but also a challenge because the child must be reintegrated and protected from the trauma they went through. The First Lady of Ukraine contributes to the reintegration projects for such children, and today you will hear from Olena about this work. Please join these projects. And we are also starting a tracing mechanism to collect all data about our displaced children in Russia and in occupied territories. Russia hides the truth, so this work is crucial. It means financing, searching, verifying information, and making sure those responsible are held accountable. And I urge you, please, in every sanctions package, increase the pressure on those Russian politicians, officials, judges, propagandists, and others involved in child abductions and the attempt to reprogram their minds. All this is known, the camps where abducted children are taught hatred, the institutions involved, even the structures of Russia's state church used to erase children's Ukrainian identity. And everyone who does not close their eyes and acts in response defends humanity. Everyone in Russia who is involved in child abduction, re-education and abuse will be sanctioned. Sanctions packages are never easy, but adding those guilty of crimes against children makes this war stronger and gives it moral force. Dear friends, in Turkey, we gave Russia's representatives an initial list of 339 children, clear data, just a small part of the thousands we must save. So far, Russia has done almost nothing, not even given real information about these children. They refuse to give real information, neither to us nor to international organizations. Please, let the result of this coalition meeting be support of initiatives to find, return and reintegrate our children, and real pressure on Russia through sanctions. We must turn attention into action. We need your support and support of partners in the General Assembly. And this year we'll introduce a resolution condemning the abduction and deportation of children. Forcibly taking children from one nation and trying to re-educate them for the benefit of another is an obvious crime. The UN must say this clearly once again. So the crime must be stopped, the felons must be held accountable, Ukrainian children must be brought home. Thank you to all the countries standing with us, with our families, with Ukrainians, with our Ukrainian children. Slava Ukraini. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I now have the honor to turn to the Right Honourable Prime Minister Mark Carney of Canada. Prime Minister, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. President, dear Volodymyr, Madam First Lady, dear Olena, Diana, friends, it's an honor to be here. It's a tragedy that we must gather together. And it's a tragedy that we're all committed to reverse. You know, Mr. President, when I joined you a few weeks ago on Independence Day in Sofia Square, I emphasized that your struggle is our struggle. Your cause of freedom, democracy, sovereignty, and the human rights and dignity of every person, particularly children, is our cause, the cause of the 42 nations and more organizations gathered here today. I want to be clear at the outset of who's responsible for these horrors. Putin has caused this terrible tragedy that has claimed in the war lives of millions. He menaces the skies of Ukraine, threatens the cities, destroys the field. Putin has stolen Ukrainian children. Thousands of children have been abducted by Russia. Russia has repeatedly targeted the most vulnerable groups of children, including orphans, children with disabilities, children from poor families. Russian soldiers have entered classrooms and forcibly rounded up children, taking them to Russian schools and orphanages. To lose a child is every parent's nightmare. For the people of Ukraine, it's a horrifying reality. Après avoir bombardé une ville,
They bombed cities and children in Ukraine. They bombed Mariupol. Russian soldiers announced evacuations and brought civilians and children to occupied cities occupied by Russia.
Office has reported on these tactics, the tactics including to indoctrinate Ukrainian children. Children are being falsely labeled with Russian citizenship and passports. A decree to fast-track citizenship, the citizenship process for abducted children, has been signed by Putin himself. In the Russian school system, abducted Ukrainian children are exposed to war propaganda and given military patriotic training. Secondary schools are required to send lists of students aged 18 or older for conscription in the Russian armed forces. Each of these inhumane acts are violations of international law. And the 42 members of the International Coalition for the Return of Ukrainian Children are united in our mission. We're committed to the safe return of Ukrainian children, that this must be part of any negotiated settlement. As you mentioned, Mr. President, the coalition has provided Russia and Turkey with an initial list of 339 children to be brought home today. But this is just the beginning. There are thousands more children who've been illegally abducted, who've endured these horrors, who must return home. And as co-chair, Canada will intensify our work with Ukraine, with our European partners and the United States to secure the immediate unconditional return of Ukrainian children. We're investing millions in a HALAS system to support the use of AI in locating and identifying Ukrainian children who've been unlawfully deported. We welcome the recent powerful appeal to President Putin by the First Lady of the United States to consider the plight of children in ending this war. You know, decades ago, a U.S. president